You were married at the time, or she was your girlfriend then?
No, I actually proposed her.
Very romantic, Melvin. I didn't know that about you.
On my way driving there, I had a blackout. My eyes got black because I knew what I wanted to do.
Because you were so nervous that you were proposing?
Yeah, and I was like getting suddenly really nervous.
Welcome to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. Here are your hosts, the radio vagabond, Palabo, and TBEX CEO, Rick Calvert.
Welcome to Travel Matters. Again, we're in...
The Peloponnese.
Thank you. He loves saying that.
Peloponnese region of Greece in Kalamata.
Joined by Melvin, an OG of travel blogging.
From Travel Dudes.
Yes.
Hi, Melvin.
I was called a pioneer.
Oh.
And I thought... When you think about like how long you do that, you think, oh, damn, it's like I started 20 years ago. I'm pretty old. But at the moment someone says, oh, you're a pioneer, I think that sounds far better than old. It sounds more experienced.
Oh, I said OG, old. That's old-time gangster.
Old-time gangster, okay.
Original gangster.
Original, sorry.
Not that I would know. Yeah. Now it's old time.
Original.
So, Melvin, we both are a little grayer now, but your hairstyle's still the same.
Yeah, because it's wild. It's my kind of branding. I'm not allowed to lose it because then would be gone.
Yeah.
Just great.
You will lose your superpower.
Yeah.
So, Melvin, as you said, you're a pioneer. You've been to TBEX before. It's been a while now. You've done your own conference for several years. But let's talk about how you started Travel Dudes. What made you start to become a travel blogger? And did you start because you wanted to be a travel blogger, or did you start traveling and then you started blogging after?
And when was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, when was really, it was like 20 years ago. And the thing is like, actually, it was not my plan and not my idea. And at that time, I'm not even sure if there were like travel blogs. So we've been traveling through Indochina. So with Thailand, Cambodia, Vietnam, and Laos. And my friend was not a developer, but only for fun a bit. He said, okay, let's create a website and we share our stories there. So
you were just traveling for fun? Just
for fun. And then he came even up like with the name Travel Dudes. And being based in Germany, we were writing in German, but no one, like when we said Travel Dudes, like travel what?
They didn't know what Travel Dudes was in Germany.
What's a dude in Germany? So like you cross the border and where people were more into English and, oh, wow, what's a cool name and stuff like that. But at that time, it was just like an online diary for traveling and just doing it for fun. And we saw that our parents were sharing our stories with others. So you saw suddenly that people were interested in the experience we had because we liked to travel chaotic, adventurous, doing stuff differently. And still I felt before I've been a travel agent, but the way I started to travel there was more like really with the backpack before I traveled different.
So you were a travel agent?
Before, yeah.
Okay.
Well still at that time.
Yeah.
But being a novice, a greenhorn in backpacking. And though I know a lot about travel, I knew there's so much to learn about backpacking. And I realized, okay, even if we have the greatest time here, and we share our experience, there's so many more people who are into backpacking and obviously experience far more of the world as well. And then I, from the online diary, I said, okay, let's share travel tips. And because the diary is, okay, I'm doing this here now and tomorrow I'm that and blah, blah, blah. But you're not sharing really the tips as, okay, if you go there,
I
do
learned
this and
we
this.
should pack this thing every time.
Exactly. Stuff like that.
Or
and
pack
then I
your
realized
bag in a certain way so the things you need the most are at the top. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I realized, okay, when you provide those kind of tips, it's only me and my friend. But there are so many more travelers who have so much more experience. So let's start a community and they can share their tips on our website. I thought it was a brilliant idea, but no one cared. So
wait, let's go
it was
back.
only me writing.
So wait, let's go back to the website. So it wasn't built on WordPress or movable type or anything like. Do you remember what kind of website it was?
Joomla.
Joomla.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And it was
CMS, content management system. Joomla was before WordPress existed. There's a bunch of other things, Drupal and other crazy things.
The website was green and yellow, and
it was much harder than.
It was the time of, what was that? MySpace, the MySpace where
yeah,
everything
before
was blinking.
Facebook became a thing. My first website for a conference for Blog World before this was Joomla as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And even though you're catering to the German audience, you chose the name in English. What would it be in German?
Reisetypen.
Reisetypen.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, it's not
Travel
bad.
Dude is so much cooler.
So your friend picked the name.
Yeah.
Did your friend like quit being involved somehow, or how long? Where's your friend now?
Yeah, I kicked him out. No, that's the success stories of all those big startups, right?
Yeah.
The big company. Yeah, you get like the boss and then you get kicked out.
Yes.
No, actually not. No, it was like, I pushed a lot of time into the website. He tried to help, but he was actually a truck driver. So his time was very limited, because driving a truck and developing was tough.
Yeah, you can't do that while you're driving.
There was not the internet for it, and there was no AI doing your coding. So, but I realized, okay, this website, it's going somewhere, and it got potential. And I saved some money, and then me and my wife, we traveled through down under Australia, New Zealand for half a year, and I realized, no, I want to do
You
this
were married
full-time.
at the time, or she was your girlfriend then?
No, I actually proposed her.
Very romantic, Melvin. I didn't know that about you.
On my way driving there, I had a blackout. My eyes got black because I knew what I
Because you were so
wanted to do.
nervous that you were proposing?
Yeah, and I was like getting suddenly really nervous. So first the plan was Uluru. And when we arrived there, it was raining. I thought, oh, damn, what's going on now? But we've seen the Uluru with waterfalls. So it was unique. It was like, wow, that's like, it stopped raining. We drove there and it was like incredible to see. But I thought, okay, no, you can still somehow can't do it here. What's the spot just north of it? Yulara. It's part of that area, right? But for the Aborigines, it's actually more holier than the Uluru itself. And so you don't know how you get into those rocks. And there's a little path and suddenly you're standing in the middle of it and it's surrounded by this big place. And it's like, wow, it was stunning. We were alone there. And then I thought, okay, yeah, the obvious thing you need.
She said yes.
She said yes. And so what's next? And we were standing there and she was like, okay, what do we do next? I said, yeah, good question. Keep on walking and hiking. And it was like, yeah. But I realized that with this trip, I want to make it as a profession. I really want to get back and work on it full time, stopping as a travel agent. I already quit my job. And then I asked my friend Olivier, do you want to join? I know you don't have the time, but like let's find a way how we can do that. And maybe just like with the tiny finances monthly to specific investment, not big amount, but just like to show that you're really curious and still like into it. And then he decided against it. And so, yeah.
So he went away and you've done it yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He went in his truck and drove off.
He drove into the sunset.
The sunset, yeah.
So when did you convert the website from Joomla to the next thing? Did it go from there to WordPress, or did you have something in between?
Actually, I was never really a fan of WordPress, so we went to Drupal. Because they were very much focused on community.
And it was a more professional level Drupal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
From there, you could see that like building this community, it always got bigger and bigger and bigger. And that was, I think, like 6-8 years ago, I had this idea, seeing like, well, and also like at this time I started professional, direct media started. At that time, I would have said social media, but when you see those channels, they are not social anymore. And people still call it like that. It's direct media. And so when you see those, at that time, there was everything in English. So I started the website in English. First, it was German and English, and but at some point I got rid of German because I wanted to reach the world. And the best way to do that was with that time with the direct media channels.
How did the German audience react to that? Were they okay with that?
I've never asked them.
And never look back.
Never look back. Well, I've got now also like a German website. I think
When
they
was
forgive
the
me.
first time you got sponsored to do anything from a brand or a DMO or anything like that?
That's a good question. I don't know. It's like a long time ago, but that was like, wow, I get free travel now. I mean, I've been a travel agent, so I got free travel already at that time.
Right, for fam trips and stuff.
Yeah, so like very highly discounted. But like to get there with the website, that was already really special. And when I now talk to bloggers who start, I try to explain them. There's like different parts of blogging, and I see it a lot of times out of the professional way. But obviously there's a lot of bloggers who just do that for fun, and that's cool and that's great. But a lot of people see that they are successful. I always say it's quite relatively easy to save some money and to travel the world. It's already a kind of a process, but everyone can pretty much do it. But like to become a professional travel blogger is far more difficult. So you stop working, you travel the world, you think you're successful because you reach a lot of people and you think, okay, I do it as a profession. And then you realize, oh, damn, I still have to pay invoices and stuff like that. And you need to make money. And to make that switch as a business into an entrepreneur is like really difficult. And I had to go
different thing. It's one thing to write,
process.
to travel and write.
And
now
do
travel and
else.
write and sell and market and yeah.
So normally you become a publisher. But
Yeah.
if you look at publishers, there's like 50, 100 people working on that. And suddenly you as a blogger, you have to do everything yourself. And if you're more professional and you make some money, maybe you have a small team, maybe even of 5 people, nothing compared to a newspaper with 50 and 100 people.
Yeah.
And that's like, that's this. So like you start blogging, you think you're professional or you could become professional. And then you're like totally stunned that you can travel for free because you've got a reach. And we established the professional travel blogging industry so that people were able suddenly to get paid. So the next level, it's like, wow, people pay me money so I can travel. That's like
Dream job.
what a dream job. I mean, free travel is a dream job already, right? So we even made it to a level where people could get paid. And then I tell the people, you know what? There's a level above that. You start paying for travel. You think, wow, why should I do that when I get free travel and even get paid for that? And I call that a holiday. So you make so much money that you can say, you know what, I go there now and I relax. And maybe I do take photos and work afterwards, but it's not the pressure anymore.
So you take trips now on your own that you
And I
pay for on
it.
your own
Yeah.
because now you don't owe anybody anything.
Exactly.
You're doing what you want to
So
do.
I do a mix of all.
Yeah.
So it could be even a free trip, it could be a paid trip, or I pay myself.
So this afternoon, you are doing a talk. Well, by the time people listen to this, you've already done the talk. The title of it was Successful Campaigns Improve Your Strategies for Best ROI. Can you tell us what you spoke about?
Yeah, well, that's a lot. I've got to really, I'm jumping through the slides and different topics. It's so many things. What I'm always like, I look at things and I see stuff where I think this goes completely wrong. And then I'm trying to show this in the presentation, but also to show how to do it differently. And if it's, for example, let's take something you might see, topic video. We all see those videos, this really nice cinematic, nicely edited videos.
Nice drone shots and
anything.
all of that, yeah.
And then you see the user behavior. And that's also, well, we do also video production. And that's always the feedback I got. And they say, great video, but too quick. I didn't get what you were seeing. And then when I talk to other people, that's always also the feedback I get for other videos.
Yeah.
So I thought about that, and it took me quite a while to explain my videographer what I wanted. We are not doing music videos. We do destination marketing. So we have to show the destination, and people need a couple of seconds to visualize with their mind what are they seeing. And it's not like 2 seconds. Ding, 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 ding. And that's what's happening. So the users are stopping the video. It doesn't matter where, if it's like YouTube or stories or whatever you take, you see people stopping the video to see so that they can see what they're looking at. And that's a fail, a complete fail. So I thought about that. Okay, so what's the reason for that? And that's like this huge bubble we're in. 10, 12 years ago, there was this super nice cutted, high edited video, very quick. And it got really successful. And then people started, and the brand was still like, the community was small. People started copying that style because they wanted the same reach.
Yeah.
And that's awesome video. I can do that. I want that. And from there on, it took over. And so like a lot of the YouTubers produce very nice content, and I don't want to get a fight with them, but also they learned it themselves. It's not that they've been educated about that. So if you go into traditional media, you've got all those different camera perspectives and angles. You learn how to use them to create little stories in the story. And so you see good videos, but all created in this bubble, in this high edited. And people should think about that and see the reaction of the users and just give it a bit more time to look at it. And so that you can see, okay, actually this is a meal. And then you look in the background, there's a boat and this and that. And suddenly, and this can take maybe 5 seconds, 8 seconds. And then in the video, it can be after that, it might be also be fine to edit a bit quicker again and stuff like that. But altogether, I think, this is like
so
on a professional.
It's okay for the video, or even preferred the video, to have a slower pace
in between, and more, sometimes quicker, sometimes slower. But the most important parts you want to sell and to show, then you need to give them time. And even if you edit it a bit quicker, then it should be always about the same topic. So when the waiter brings in the plate with the meal, it's not like patch here, show it, and something else again. You can make like 4, 5, 8 different shots of that. So, and then you're able even to edit it a bit quicker together, but people see always the same plate, more or less. And stuff like that.
That's good.
Makes
That's really
sense.
good.
Thank you for sharing travel matters with your friends and followers on social media. You're the best.
I want to go back a little bit to the origin story, if you don't mind. So, because again, it's been so long. I think a lot of people, who are new to it now, not just creators, but even DMOs and brands, they don't know how long you've been doing this and how, like you said, how much of a pioneer you were. Because there are a lot of people who do this now who wanted to be you, right?
Oh, I think they shouldn't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pain with coming with it. That's like, I've gone through hell. It's like, shall I
it's
say,
hard work.
Shall I share my story about my biggest pain as a business?
Sure.
Complete failure.
Yeah.
And I created like 6-8 years ago, I realized when we started blogging, everyone was a worldwide blogger and it became successful. And then people go into niche. So you started, you are a family blogger, a food blogger, a luxury blogger, a budget blogger. You go into niche. And I realized, okay, we don't need a new social media platform like Pinterest covering the world. So I created the first social travel platform only for travel.
What was it called?
Travel Dudes.
Okay.
But so I had the idea. So, and the internet was, especially with direct media, was so big. But like as a blogger, now you're here. The next week you are somewhere else. So you inspired someone to travel, to see that spot. And, but then you show already something else and they might want to have more information
About
so on
the place where you were last week. Yeah.
Yeah. So in my website, I filtered the hashtag for the destination. So this might be Barcelona. And suddenly you saw tweets and Instagram posts and Facebook and videos from all the other users using the right hashtag. And also with the hashtag, you have to remember what a hashtag is. It's a tag. It's a keyword to tell the system this is the topic about. So when you see about Instagram, all those nonsense hashtags, now they make sense, but in theory, they shouldn't.
Right.
So I was using those kind of, I collected that content, I filtered it and showed it to the audience. And you could follow Barcelona without the hashtag. You just followed Barcelona because the hashtag was behind that.
Yes.
And in your timeline, everything popped up from Barcelona. And suddenly this whole new world of content exploded in front of your eyes of quality content. Maybe you're not into Barcelona, then you're into food. So you follow food and your timeline suddenly shows you a tweet from a cooking course in Thailand and say, wow, I want to go there. So it was a brilliant plan. It was all working. And then we launched and the website was blue for 1 week. Complete blue. And the developers have no idea what to do. And since then.
A blue screen.
Blue screen. And before it was working, and well, that's where the nightmare starts because I had all the big publishing platforms, Skift and everyone else to write about it. But I couldn't tell them because it was a blue screen. And this took pretty much like even when the website was working then again, it was not really working. People couldn't register. And I was using Drupal, which is a community system. So register login is the easiest part of that. And it was before it was working with the new version, it was not working anymore. Mm-hmm. So the people could use the website then with this filtering and stuff like it all worked, but I couldn't really push it and pronounce and shout it out because I knew it. It would fail completely. And then because I already invested like so much time and money into it, I couldn't simply say, okay, you know what, let's do it again. I also didn't want to sue the developers because like that would be a complete new pain. I said, okay, I need to find a way now out of that. And that took me many nights sitting in front of the screen, waiting for an email where you can react to something. And that's like this, dilemma you are in. And, you have actually no idea what you're doing, and you just try to react to stuff. And then I read something that like every business, every entrepreneur has gone through that, and also through this reaction.
Definitely.
And there's this tiny point where you suddenly start acting again. And for me, it was in the middle of the night, 4 a.m. I woke up with something, and I don't even know what it was. I think it was just like starting a complete new email. And it was not important what it was, but it's just like at that moment I started acting again to find a way out. And and it took me
this total
couple
failure.
of years still like keeping the website running stable, because obviously if I wouldn't have invested, the website would have completely crashed again. It was like burning money. You make money and you put it into a website which is not working, just like to keep it running.
It's very frustrating.
On the other side, it's like being an entrepreneur, and you have to realize, okay, that's a challenge. It's not always fun, but sometimes it can also be fun.
And you learn something.
Yes, you learn a lot, yeah.
Yeah, that's where some of your gray hair comes from.
Definitely, yeah.
See all the links mentioned in this episode in the show notes and on tbexcon.com/podcast.
People who know you know this. People who don't know you may not know this. He's a very opinionated guy. Right. He's got very strong opinions like I do. And he's not afraid to share them like I'm not. And he's not always right, but he's right a lot of the time. Like me. Like, no, I'm wrong too. I've been wrong about some really big things too. But, you know, he doesn't mind having the argument, the discussion about it.
Exactly, yeah.
You know, he presented something I remember at TBEX in Girona many years ago about advertising value equivalency.
Yeah.
And there was a guy from a DMO in the room. Melvin says whatever he says, and the guy goes, "That's bullshit." And Melvin goes, "No, blah, 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 blah." You know, they had this whole discussion.
Well, I had many thoughts about that. Otherwise, I wouldn't have said that.
Well, because at the time, it was really important that you did it, because brands were seriously undervaluing what creators were worth.
Yeah. And actually, I still stand that point. And I think it was like important because you see at that point, and you couldn't measure the value of an article online. And when you went into print media, and that time, digital was fighting print.
Yes.
And so in my view, one eyeball is an eyeball, like one view of audience is a view. And there shouldn't be this huge differences at that time, between print and digital. And we reach far more people with digital than in print. So my idea was, okay, when you say there's an article in print and you put up the size of that as an advertising, that's this and this value. But in digital, they said no, and stuff like that. And it's like all this.
Gary Arndt would say it's trading dollars for pennies, and you measure print media and traditional media with a telescope, and you measure online media with a microscope.
Yeah.
Which is not fair, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And it's much more trackable online than it is in a magazine. You know, they have this, I'll say it, bullshit formula for magazines that is passed around to 6 people every magazine.
Yeah.
So even though we have 100 subscribers, really 600 people read it. Where do they come up with that? They just made it up.
Well, in those kind of magazines, they lie at the airport and 10 people grab it and 100 people leave it there. And you always see those big staples. That's like how it worked in the past. Yeah.
And there are magazines. I know this because I worked in a business that sold magazines at one point. They don't all get bought. They send you 20 of them. 10 of them get bought. 10 of them, we cut the title off the top of the magazine. We throw it in the trash and we send the title back to the publisher and he gives us the money back for those 10. Mm. Oh. So anyway, your point then was that creators are undervalued. Online creators are undervalued, and you're saying the number is way down here, and I'm saying the number is way up here.
Yeah, they need to meet in the middle.
If we meet in the middle, we could be happy.
Exactly.
Right? But you give me your bullshit number, I'll give you my bullshit number, and maybe we could find something real.
Yeah. And this is not just like our problem. It's actually the problem of the digital media and the publishers.
Yeah.
And they created their own grave, actually, because they were in print. And And I've been in print myself in a company, in a small regional newspaper, and they gave away the digital presence and advertising for cheap, for free, when they bought the other ones. So they pushed the prices down.
Yeah.
But suddenly digital overtook that.
So you're saying it's their fault?
It's their fault. It is. Then they're in trouble right now because they started that strategy. The problem now is when you think about digital and this regional print magazine, they have like 2 huge printing rolls and they cost millions. It was not their company, but they were the main newspaper using it. So in the end, they paid it. And it cost millions for those printing machines to have them. Then the distribution of the newspaper, bringing it out in front of the house and this and that and to the little shops. It's so many costs. So if a newspaper's like on a digital base, they should be able, like if they would have similar prices for advertising and stuff like that, they should be able to give me like a smartphone, a tablet for free so I can read their stuff.
Yeah.
Because what kind of cost do they have now? Server costs. Compare that to the millions of these printing machines and distribution.
Yeah.
Most
of the time, I agree. The point is the costs are significantly lower online than they are for print.
Exactly. And the digital costs or the income have now to cover the publication or the printing costs for many still. Because there are still like quite a few who still even print stuff.
So again, going back, who did you want to be when you started? Were there any bloggers for you or any traditional journalists or travel, TV shows? You're like, I want to be like that guy.
No, never.
Really?
Not at all. No. For me, it was always like finding an own way. And for me, it was always important. It's not about me. So like when you go on Travel Dudes, you never really see my face. The only where my profile is with my visual face is actually still Twitter. And it's quite horrible because it's like from the beginning, when did Twitter start? Like a year later, I created that profile picture.
2007, I think.
Yeah. And it was a red t-shirt and there was like a name on it and, on very like novice-like, I took that out and, photoshopped in Travel Dudes. And when you zoom in, it's like horrible. And I still have that picture because for me, it's that kind of history.
You do know you can change it?
I could, yeah, but now I want to keep it because that for me, that's like, wow, that's like
nostalgia.
Yeah. And I don't have the gray hair in it.
And you're OG.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like for me, it was always Travel Dudes. It's like the community. It's travelers. It's not about me.
How many people are in the Travel Dudes community?
How many dudes are there?
Yeah.
Dudes and dudettes. And, well, I've got a team now of, 10, 12 people. So we create also our own content with videos and do this destination marketing. But then also like for me, it was always, and that's like when we all started, it was social media. It was helping each other. And I think that's why I became successful because I was actually helping others and then they helped me again. And, now I try to do this also like with all the bloggers who just started. And I always say like you can work with any kind of blogger. You just have maybe to do it a bit different. So like a hobby blogger, you do it a bit, they might not have the reach, but they produce amazing content. So I can help them. I've got the reach. I can help them. And then maybe I can work with professional bloggers with a huge reach. Maybe they can't I can't help them the same way, but we can like exchange, like a kind of a cross promotion. So they wouldn't write for Travel Dudes or I couldn't pay them for that. As a community, you can't like Facebook or Twitter. It would be nice that they would pay my content, right? That should be because I deliver content for them. So I can't do that with a professional blogger, but we can make a cross promotion. I promote their content. They promote my content. So it's always a question of brainstorming and finding the right way of helping each other.
Yeah. Do you remember who your first paying sponsor was?
The first thing, I think that was Jordan. When we started,
because a TBEX sponsor now.
Exactly, yeah.
They've been working with travel creators for a long time.
And they've been really smart. And that's like how iAmbassador started with Keith. He came up with this idea. So there was the Arab Spring and the whole region was like going wild and nuts and you couldn't travel there. And then there was Jordan as a tourism board with tiny budget compared to Egypt and others. And they said, okay, we invite 18 travel bloggers into Jordan and then we let them travel and experience the country, not all together, spread through the year. And Keith had the idea, wow, you've got so much good content now. Let's use that. And then we created like a big chat and shout out on social media using the content and stuff like that. And Jordan, the tourism board, they were one of the first who also invested into Facebook advertising. And with all those actions they took, they were able to improve the visitor numbers from the US the next year, I think by double. I'm not so sure about that, but really increase.
A significant amount.
Wow.
And into a region like right now, when you have when the Ukrainian war started, people were thinking, oh, is it safe in Europe? Obviously it was, because Europe is so big. But that's like when you're able to achieve something like that, that was like, wow, that was respect. That was really good. Yeah. And that's like, so with this first campaign where we used the blogging content and shouted it out through social media, that was the first time really to get like into the business model of getting paid. And then after that, there was Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Love Cape Town. We created the label Love Cape Town.
That's good.
Really?
Yeah.
You created it.
Yes.
That was an iAmbassador project?
Yeah, because we came up with the hashtag Love Cape Town, and now they're using it. Proud of that.
What's the relationship between Travel Dudes and iAmbassador? Like you're a co-founder of iAmbassador with Keith, or can you explain?
Officially not co-founder, because he had the idea and he started it and
so Keith's the founder.
Exactly. So he started it, he put it online.
Another OG blogger, by the way.
Exactly. But at the moment he started, I jumped on board, and we were running it all those years together. And so I was also part of the company and also owner, and but always next to it was also as well Travel Dudes. And then we came up with all those ideas. And
so would you say Travel Dudes is kind of one of the blogs in the iAmbassador network?
Yes.
But you're also an owner of iAmbassador.
Not anymore. I left, but we are still good friends, but and we still work together. But I had really to because of my nightmares with Travel Dudes, I needed to focus far more on Travel Dudes.
Yeah.
And I came up with, we came up with many different ideas, like how we can, there's so much passion involved. So when we do stuff, obviously it's a lot of business, but in the end it was always okay. The passion was always more important. So when we, started the Social Travel Summit. And for us, it was, okay, how can we establish professional travel blogging and fighting the print media and our value to show our value? It's like people came to us, and I remember that at a big, I think it was at ITB, we were talking to a tourism board, and we said, okay, now we do this campaign and you pay us, more or less. And the guy said, yeah, okay, but why should I pay you if you've done the same before for free? And I was sitting there, I was starting sweating. I was, damn, he's so right. I was like, what's the answer? And I said, well, we can actually provide you with more value. And at that moment, it's all about value. So, let's say I get invited on a press trip. It's for free. They spend, let's say, 5,000 euros for me. So I have the responsibility to provide something back, more or less 5,000 euros, so that it's a kind of equal. If I over-deliver now, and it's 10,000 my value, well, I can earn 5,000 euros. So it's seeing the values. It's a shift of values. And so that's like when we said, okay, but yeah, we can deliver actually even more value. And then suddenly you can get paid for that.
So did you convince him?
Not directly him, but many others.
Yeah. Obviously, you've been very successful. And if you haven't seen Melvin's videos, you guys were running some of your videos at your meetup that you had at ITB the last time. They're really, really good. They're really professional. There's a difference between the videos you produce and a lot of other videos that you see. So,
well, also there for me it was like I'm never happy with the result we have. I always want to try and to push it further. Always establish something else new. And that was the same. We started a partnership with Amadeus. If you don't know Amadeus, actually they run, I think, 80% of the whole world travel business runs through Amadeus.
They're the booking engine behind the scenes.
Skyscanner, Expedia, Booking, they all use the Amadeus software. So it's a massive company, and they created an interactive video player, and they approached us and said, first they approached us as a startup. And I said, I love startups, but it's so hard to work with them because you don't know if they exist in 3 years' time. But then they gave me the business card.
If their website turns out blue.
Yes, exactly like mine. But then they showed me the business card and said Amadeus. I said, okay, now let's start talking. Awesome. And, but I realized, and now we did already videos and I liked our videos, but, there was always something missing. We did like cinematic videos and video blogging where you speak yourself into the camera. But I realized when you work with the clients of Amadeus, you can't do that. You need to improve your quality. Most people, when they improve their quality, they buy a new drone, a new lens, a new phone, or whatever it does. But they never really thought about the concept and the format. And I said, you know what? It's like instead of filming yourself, just add a videographer and the moderator presenter in front of the camera. So we go actually old school. Instead of going forward, we take a step back, which is actually, a lot of times the stuff is same, but different. Journalism, blogging, there was a big fight in the past. It was always same, but different. The same with the video. So at the moment you have a video guy, he can focus on storytelling footage-wise. And the presenter can only focus on what he's actually saying. So you can, instead of talking 5 minutes into the camera, you can cut it down to 1 minute and you have a far better message. And the presenter can be, like we've been working in the Alps and you're in the gondola and the camera guy is outside and the guy is arriving with the gondola speaking.
Yeah.
Well, do this self-filming. You can get far more creative and the quality rises big time. And it's still like a small team, but you're already on a level of quality of a production company.
Yep.
Without the cost, because the team is far smaller.
Melvin, I really appreciate all the time. I'd love to have you back again and ask you a lot more questions about the early days. You really are a pioneer in the industry. And a lot of the people that are here at TBEX today wouldn't be here if you hadn't been a pioneer like that. And as they say, if you're a pioneer, you get arrows in the back. I know you've taken your share and really appreciate what you've done for the industry.
Well, you're welcome. I think it was like a huge learning curve, but also like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
hard work.
The passion. I mean, that's like the travel industry. I mean, that's also like a travel agent. I always said, you know what, if it would be about selling, I would sell insurance. But it's never about selling. It's the travel industry is really special and the passion is driving everyone. And that's, I think, also the most fun and so important to keep that.
Finally, what do you like most about coming to TBEX?
Well, when it's over with my presentation. I haven't done a presentation for a while, and I realize I'm getting nervous and stuff like that, which is actually always happening. I just love to network. For me, it's like really meeting all those bloggers and other, not just like the bloggers, but also other people, and just learning new stories and new ideas and out of the box especially, and always like catching up as much as information out of these kind of things, then brainstorm and finding new opportunities. And
Great. I'll make sure to put all the links in the show notes for this episode so people can find you and follow you and see what you're doing.
And it will be a blue website.
Thank you, Melvin.
Thank you, Melvin. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Travel Matters, the official podcast of TBEX. This episode of Travel Matters was hosted by TBEX CEO Rick Calvert and Radio Vagabond Palabo, and produced by radioguru.co.uk. See more about upcoming TBEX events on tbexcon.com. You can follow Palabo on theradiovagabond.com.